Hey guys, I finally got a chance to see Christopher Nolan's newest film, Interstellar, and I've been hearing a lot of things about the film when it has come out. So I'm gonna probably be in like how do I put it? I'm probably gonna be in like the middle ground, so to speak. Because first of all, I wanted to say that I am a Christopher Nolan fan myself. I have enjoyed his movies such as The Prestige, uh, all the Batman films, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises, and I've also enjoyed Inception and Insomnia, of course. And I haven't seen a couple of his movies. Like I really have been meaning to check out Memento, and there was another one he did too that I forgot. It was like one of his earliest ones that he did. But anyway, I really do respect Christopher Nolan as a director. I feel like he's one of the current directors working today that really makes films the way that are still made on a good format. He shoots movies in 35 millimeter film, or nowadays he really loves that IMAX camera that he uses for 70 millimeter, and I really respect his design with how he wants to make original stories and also create new worlds that you can actually kind of buy that would be in a realistic setting. And this, to me, going into this film is a very ambitious effort. It's one of those movies that, before I get into it, just so to speak, that when I was watching the trailer of the film, it kind of reminded me of that vibe of like going into Gravity again. Remember Gravity that came out last year? Maybe go into that where it's like now they're making space or science fiction a lot more realistic, so to speak, where they're wanting to delve into when you go in outside Earth and going into the atmosphere. There's no sound. There is just debris flying. There's no explosions unless it's inside the buildings and all that. But I really do like how all these films that are coming out nowadays, they're actually taking into a lot of different structure, a lot of different ideas that can really that make you buy into a lot of, how do I put it? See, going into a film like this is something that either you're going to analyze to death, like people who watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, Gravity, um, AI, artificial intelligence. Those you get those analysts who want to symbolize everything, go into like the different philosophies and so to speak. Going into this film for me personally, I didn't want to do all that. I just wanted to go into the film as an entertaining experience, and to because I'm a big, 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 big fan of IMAX, I had to go check this out in the largest format, and I did. I actually went and seen this film in IMAX over the weekend, and it was worth it because I really do adore this film. I thought, as far as science fiction films go, this is one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. It I really do like the film. Now, there's some things that I can understand that there's flaws with. It's not a perfect film. It does have problems going. There are problems here and there that I can really acknowledge that some people have, but also on my own that I kind of picked up on. But overall, I do love that Christopher Nolan made a film that was worth exploring the different realms of the worlds that we live in the different galaxies. Because essentially, what the plot is you've seen the trailer. It's Matthew McConaughey's character Cooper. He lives on a farm with his family, and they notice, and the Earth is dying. There's crops that are going out. There's sandstorms that are coming. It's just an all-around dead place. And as the film progresses, because Cooper is an airline pilot, and he's a widower, and he takes care of his daughter Murphy Murph and his son Tommy, and they live in this little house that's in a farm setting in a very small town. And as the film progresses, you start to feel the bond between him and his daughter as they go along because they feel like they're a good team. And she doesn't want him to do anything that would put her life in danger or have him leave her at any time. And that's one of the themes this movie has. It's building on trust. It's building on being a good father to to his kids, and best of all, being a good man. And it does. This film teaches you a lot of things that you don't pick up, that you certainly do pick up on as they as the film progresses. But yeah, essentially what happens is that he gets recruited by Michael Caine's character, Dr. Brandt, who he goes in on this mission along with Anne Hathaway and Wes Brantley, and I forgot this other guy's name, but they all work together to go to excuse me. They go to they have to go into this wormhole, and they discover that there's a planet that is essentially what creates, well, not necessarily create, but it's basically a new planet that's found in far, far, far dimensions away. Like, I don't want to give anything away because it's hard to not to spoil anything, but let's just say that it's in where they're traveling to. It's in a completely different dimension. It goes to a completely different galaxy that puts them kind of okay. I'm not. I'm just gonna go from there. But anyway, as the movie goes on, you start to realize that because there's a twist behind it. As the film progresses, you start to really buy into McConaughey's character, and this is one of the best performances that I've seen him pull off. And as much as I really loved him in Dallas Buyers Club, and I actually thought he earned that Oscar, I really thought this is probably my second favorite performance that he's done because he really pulls the emotions out of you. He's a very good father. He's a very dedicated man to his work. He wants to change things. He does everything he can to make sure this mission goes in hand. But at the same time, since he worries so much about his family, he has to either take everything and try to succeed with the mission, or he has to sacrifice some things in order to succeed. And it's one of those movies that when you watch it, yeah, okay, I'm going to get into some issues that I do kind of have. When you get toward probably the second half, it does start to drag because there are certain moments where you're just like, that could have been cut out. It could have at least pulled about at least at least 20 minutes or so, because this is probably the longest science fiction movie I have ever watched. And look, I haven't seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, so I don't know if it's either longer or shorter than that one. But Christopher Nolan really did go all out and said, "Hey, this is going to be my most ambitious film that I'm going to make, and I'm going to make it where you're going to see everything is a visual spectacle. It's going to be atmosphere. You're going to get into the story. He basically threw everything at the producer, like, this is my movie. I want to do everything I can to make it work, to be a filmmaker's dream." And he succeeded, but at the same time, he kind of went overdid and made some of the scenes drag on a little bit too far. It's not that how do I put it? Like you have some certain movies that are trying to build on the whole philosophy, where or you have some movies where they kind of drag a little too long with dialogue. He does tend to do that with certain parts of the movie. There'll be moments where they'll be talking like science fiction philosophy, and it is going into the plot, so I can't really complain about that. But what bothers me is that they kind of overdo it so much, to the point where either you're for mainstream moviegoers are going to be either bored by it, or like any newcomers are going to be like, huh? I really didn't pick up on that. But anyway, one of my other issues that I have is there are a couple of characters that here and there that are like a couple of big names that they don't really do much character development for, that I thought could have been better. I'm not going to spoil who they are, but when you see them, you do kind of know who they are, and they don't really elaborate much with them. But that's just one of my two biggest complaints I had, and nothing really too much. But overall, I still really enjoyed this film. I thought that seeing it on an IMAX screen made the experience even better. You actually feel like you're in space, and you feel like you're on this journey with them. You're actually exploring this wormhole they're going through. And like, this is not just kind of a minor spoiler. If you've seen the trailer, you notice when they go to like this place where this one planet where when they land, it's like all in water, and then when they see like this huge tidal wave that comes out, that scene was probably one of the best visually core cinematography, and that was brilliant. And it's one of the best. It has one of the best core. How do I put it? That all that was practical too. I didn't notice any CGI at all in that scene. But anyway, but yeah, I watching this in IMAX really enhances the atmosphere of the movie, and it really makes you feel like you're in a completely different room. Because when you've seen this on this big screen, it's surrounding you, and you feel the vibration on your chair. You really don't. You're really on the edge of your seat. It really pulls you in. And that's another thing I do credit for too is the score by Hans Zimmer. He did a wonderful job on this. I think this is probably mm, well, this is probably my second favorite soundtrack that he's done, next to the soundtrack from the Dark Knight trilogy. And I know that's kind of biased because it's also Christopher Nolan as well, but I mean, I've listened to other soundtracks too, and I really do admire Hans Zimmer's work that he's done for the Pirates films, Gladiator. I think it was Gladiator that he did that, if I'm not mistaken. And he also did the music for True Romance. He's one of the best working musicians out there that's working today, and he really pulls it off with the emotion, the integrity, the intense moments. Everything this guy does with that music really makes you feel like you're really into this you're really into this kind of you're in for one hell of a ride. And yes, I really do enjoy this film a lot. It's a very ambitious movie. It really has all the things that we always look. I know scientists and people who analyze film might have a lot of things that don't who can pick it apart and do it. That's fine. But to me, I think it's one of those few science fiction movies that dwells on the ideas of galaxies and things that we never really picked up on when we went into space. And I like how this film changes that. And I hope they can make more movies like this again, because I really do how we get directors like Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg, and all them who really make their own original ideas like this, and they take it to a whole new level. And to that, I give this movie a solid 9 out of 10. It's one of the best movies that I've seen this year. And yes, it does have some flaws, and I'm sure there's some things I missed on the film, but overall, I really highly recommend this film. And if you want the experience like I did, definitely check it out on IMAX. The movie was shot in IMAX cameras. It definitely enhances the atmosphere. You feel like you're like I said before, you're in a completely different world when you watch this in that format. And the performance is all around. Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, Anne Hathaway, who I thought really pulled off a great performance. She plays a very ethical character. She's very devoted to her performance as the scientist who follows along McConaughey, and even Michael Caine. All these good actors, and they do a phenomenal job. Every I can't really see anything else wrong with this film besides some things that I went over. And I guess the only kind of complaint that I do have is like some of the structure is a little off, because it's all over the place as far as plot. But if you can just delve into it as just its own kind of just just for a visual experience and just a movie where you want something new and something fresh, I think those of you would probably enjoy it the better. And for that, I'm gonna leave it on that note. Sorry. But yeah, I really do highly recommend Interstellar. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year, along with Gone Girl and a few others that I watched earlier this year as well that I'm still gonna remember. But anyway, yeah, I do highly recommend the film, and my next review will be a special review of my co-host Eddie. He'll be back with me to review Dumb and Dumber 2, a sequel to one of my favorite comedies of the '90s. So until then, I hope everyone has a good rest of the weekend, and I shall see you guys on my next review. See ya.